the room. I didn't know that either. And we are now live on
All
both
right.
YouTube
Learn something
and
new. I'm gonna have to do that
Facebook.
next time when it's on my
Mhm.
YouTube. I'll have to launch it on
Yeah,
Facebook
because
too.
you know when you log, like when you go to create a room and it asks you where you want to go.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I clicked on Facebook at first and I was like, oh wait, no, that's right, we're doing it on YouTube. And then I clicked on YouTube and I noticed it didn't like switch back over and
Nice.
that it gave both options. So I just
Really?
rolled with it.
And are you verifying that? Is it broadcasting to
Yeah,
both
it's
locations?
it's on Facebook as of right now.
And is it on YouTube?
I don't know though. Let me see. Let's see.
Oh,
I need glasses so very, very badly. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. Can how do I'm like, how do I tell if I'm live? I'm like, how do I tell if I'm live? Let me sign out of my channel and then go on to another channel. Hello to anybody who's here. Hello to the two people that are
hello.
here. Sorry while we
We're
get,
getting settled in.
yes,
I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to just give a couple minutes just to sort of drop in, catch up, and give a chance
yes.
for, people to show up. And
We're live. We are. We're live on both YouTube
that's great.
and Facebook.
Isn't that wonderful? So I'm going to
Hi,
have to
Lex.
start doing that. Yeah.
Yes,
You can
yes,
have it come, from both locations. That's excellent.
yes. Hi, Lex. How are you? You know who wait, I think you know who I am. I'm Lizzie. This is Broad. Um
Hello,
and
Rod,
once we get all
aka
yeah,
Shannon,
yep.
aka Cobra.
And once I like to get us all shared out too, you know. Give us a
Sounds
minute.
good to me.
But Broad, why don't you tell them why we're here tonight?
Well, we're here tonight because we're going through a very interesting time, right? Collectively, there are a lot of people. I've been encountering quite a few people that are starting to open up, to higher levels of awareness. There's a lot of people that are going through an ascension process. And I've really connected with a lot of people who are expressing that they're experiencing some challenges around that, just not knowing how to sort of ground out the energy or even how to feel safe in moving into that expansion. So, in that regard, I thought it would be very helpful for us to just allow people to receive tonight and sort of let them learn how to support themselves through these big shifts experientially, right? Through just receiving some of these tools that we're going to bring in. I'm going to open up with a grounding and a kind of clearing meditation to sort of just clear out, the chakra channels so that energy can flow. That's very helpful. It's also very important to keep both feet on the ground, especially when you're opening up to these higher levels of consciousness, because the tendency can be to go a little too far out into the ether. And if you do that, you can wander off into the alfalfa and really destabilize yourself. And in terms of those who do work like we do, people who are working um, on that level where maybe they're a reader, or maybe they work with psychic healing modalities, energy work, anything of this nature. Um, I think it's very important to remember to like have your regular energy maintenance and grounding. Remember to like, you got to root it in the body. You can't just stay all up in these upper channels because it really can cause a lot of problems that can impact your physical health, your mental health, your emotional well-being. And we have to remember that even if we're familiar with doing this kind of work, even if we're used to kind of like tripping on the outer limits, okay, there still can be the tendency to kind of get lost in that energy. All right. And excuse the wet hair here, but I just got through with my self care and, tending to my body. And I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner for those who haven't tuned in before, aren't familiar with me. And it's one thing that we really talk about a lot in Ayurveda, how macrocosm is reflected in microcosm. So everything in existence is also reflected in humankind, right? And so when you're working with these energies, when you're working with this spiritually expansive energy, one of the best ways that you can root that energy and stay grounded within holding all that, right? Holding that expansion, moving into that expansion, is to really come to the body. Nothing will root you more than coming and dropping down into your body and doing that through self care, as well as learning some different psychic tools for just clearing your energy so it can flow nice and smoothly. And when it does feel very big and expansive, you know how to sort of just open yourself to it without resistance, without fear, without uh, anything obstructing the way, so that um, you're able to do that in a way that's harmonious, because you can also overload your chakra centers too, if you're not keeping your energy running clear. You can take on stuff that's not yours to hold. And I don't care how adept you are. We all get caught up in the busyness of life. We all get overwhelmed at times, and we get sloppy, right, with our personal energy maintenance and taking care of that and doing our purification work and um, cleansing out our energy, like after we give a reading, purifying ourselves before we open up to that like psychic expansion. So this is really just sort of an offering for the community of readers here at YouTube. Okay. Just an offering to bring the community together, because I know there's always like all these like tarot wars and this silly stuff on YouTube, and I'm like so not down with that. I'm like, how can we support each other, and show up for each other as a community? And so I thought this would just be a really nice way for us to make that offering, to the community here at YouTube, and then also for the viewers of the show, and just pull that energy of support in for the collective.
Love it. Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I know that for myself, like really just kind of I've been so immersed within my own mundane life pretty much since after the winter solstice. Like after the winter solstice hit, it was like yes, I'm still a spiritual person. Yes, I'm still a religious person, but it was like so much more of a focus on like my what I would call my muggle life, my regular, my physical world made itself very prominent. And so I've had to I don't ever like to use the word disconnect because I don't ever disconnect. There is no such thing as disconnecting. Yes, you can disconnect, but I feel as if it gets harder to disconnect once you have been doing this for so long. Um, but clearly I have not been very active on social media, even on my own personal page. I'm not, I so I know for myself this was part of my self-care because I was really like thinking like, man, what the fuck am I going to talk about tonight? Like shit. I'm like, I don't want to talk about the same bullshit I always talk about. And it was like, well, no, you literally just did self care by disconnecting from social media, focusing on my physical world and what the steps that I could take to make my physical world. And I was also manifesting the shit that we called in for the winter solstice when I did that ritual with Hades.
Yeah.
So it was like I was like, "Oh. See, so you're always connected." You're always connected. And part of my spell work for the winter solstice that I did when we did our devotional to Hades was passing my state licensing exam, and I did, and I did. And so
Congratulations.
I'm very much looking forward to the rest of what was on my list. I'm like, okay, whew, how are you going to manifest that one? All right, let's see. So I'm very excited to see what is going to come. But that is definitely a part of self-care. Thank you. Is being able to realize that sometimes it's not all esoteric.
Correct.
And sometimes it's putting in the actual mundane work to and that's something you and I were talking about right before, your hair's wet. You just showered because you've been putting in the mundane work for
Taking care of the
yourself,
body, taking
right?
care of the foundation of your life,
Mhm,
making sure you have
mhm,
a life that's stable, and where you have that kind of grounding in your material reality that allows you that space to kind of drop in, get down to business, without being so, kind of disconnected from that, right? Because that can be the tendency too, is, people that are doing a lot of spiritually oriented work, esoteric work, they can kind of get attached to always being, out on the ethers, and they let the stuff that is like the foundation slide. And
mhm.
I've seen that happen a lot. Like people really go into states of overwhelm, and their life is
Oh,
kind of spiraling out of control, and
yeah.
they've really lost their grounding cord. So it is important to come back to those basic fundamentals. It's like before I came here, I did, qigong to like align my energy. I did some gua sha just to, move some stuff physically out of my body, get my lymph moving, which helps my emotions flow, helps clear energy out. I took a took a cold shower. I'm working with the Wim Hof stuff, which is really great. I'll tell you, nothing will bring you more in your body and connect you to the physical than a cold shower.
No shit. Yeah.
But it's been really good, and just giving myself that time, that space, and even though it doesn't take very long, you know, getting in a workout every day, you know, practical stuff, making sure my all my business stuff is tended to, my daily to-dos, not letting that stuff, spiral out of control. But I think that, what you're saying about disconnecting from social media, I think that's an important piece of self-care
Mhm.
too, because I thought so, not all the way, but I pulled back a bit. I'm not putting as much energy into my Instagram. You know, I'm not putting in as much time and energy or spending as much time there on Facebook as I was before. I'm spending more of my time here on YouTube, to be honest, and that's kind of what's feeding me right now. But I really felt a need to kind of taper back in some of those areas. I think it's very important. Yeah, it's true. A solution to a hot head. Yeah, it definitely can help. Cold
Mhm.
showers are really great. And also says gua sha. If you got a hot head, get a gua sha and just gua sha your whole scalp, and it lets that energy. You ever feel like you got too much busyness going on in your mind? Like if you're in a period where you're getting a lot of like psychic downloads, and
Mm.
you're sort of like feeling overwhelmed because you're channeling all this, energy, all this stuff's coming in, and it starts to feel a little destabilizing. Just getting a gua sha tool and all over your scalp, it like opens up the energy at the crown chakra, and it allows it to release. It's like a release valve, and so it helps to clear your head and just kind of, you know,
That's lovely.
the
Well, you
energy.
said you were going to lead us through a meditation, and I would really
Yeah,
like to do that.
I
So
know.
I'm going to go ahead and put my mic on mute and let you let let you get to it. Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're all just going to kind of come into this space right now. Let go of anything that was happening before you arrived here, any busyness or upset that occurred within your day. It's time to just let all that fall away. Let it be just like a leaf floating by on a stream. Just watch it just drift away from you. And we're going to come into this moment, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to just receive um, some grounding. And this is something that you can do on a regular basis anytime that you start to feel energetically overwhelmed, anytime you have feelings of anxiety, um, or you feel like you're opening up into too much expansion, and you kind of want to just create space to make it feel a little bit more safe with everything that's coming in. You can return to this, and it's a tool that you can carry with you moving forward. So wherever you are right now, wherever you're sitting, if you're able to put your feet on the floor beneath you, wonderful. If not, that's okay. But I just want you to pay attention to where your body is making contact with the surface that's supporting you. Notice the feeling of stability that it gives you to be held by the foundation beneath you. Notice the weight of your feet on the floor, making connection with the earth beneath you. And I want you to just take some nice, deep, full belly breaths, carrying the breath all the way down to your lower belly, letting your lower belly expand and rise, carrying that prana, that nurturing breath all the way up to your chest, feeling that expansion in the lungs and the rib cage. And then just let it out. And take 4 nice, deep, grounding breaths like this. And really settle deeper and deeper into your body with each inhalation and exhalation. And as you breathe, notice anything that comes up, any thoughts that are still in your space of anything that happened before you arrived here, anything that's been troubling you recently, anything that's been frustrating you, any areas of physical tension, tightness, constriction in your body, and greet those spaces, those thoughts, those physical sensations with the breath. Allow the breath to come into those areas and just start to dissolve and soften and unravel the constriction. Let the breath be the container for what you're feeling. And as you're breathing into this space and just letting your thoughts come up, letting your feelings come up, your perceptions, anything that you've been struggling with, don't get attached to a story about it. The story is not important. Just let yourself feel the physical sensation of it. If you're having a memory come up for you of something that happened earlier in the week that caused you any kind of disturbance or emotional upset, instead of starting to tell yourself a story about this, just notice, what does it feel like? Where is the feeling? Where is the sensation associated with this thought connected to in your physical body? and breathe into that space in your physical body, opening that space, softening where there's any restriction, and start to build an image of this feeling without words, without the story. Does the feeling have a temperature? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it neutral? Does the feeling have a color? Does it have a sound? Are there any kinds of images that come forward in association with these feelings that are in your space? These feelings that are attached to people, places, things that you encountered recently that kind of been stuck in your space. Just see if you can create a visual image, something that can kind of serve as a totem of this energy you're holding in your body. And once you have that image in your mind's eye, I want you to wrap it up in gold light. So that you now have this orb of gold energy that's holding all that you're ready to let go of and release. And then draw your attention down to the base of your spine and breathe into this space. Notice how it feels at the base of your spine. Does it feel open? Does it feel closed? Is there sensitivity there? Any kind of activation? Just make a mental note. And as you continue to breathe into the base of your spine, I want you to imagine a red rosebud there. And as you breathe into this red rosebud, slowly the petals of the rosebud start to unfurl and the rose comes into full bloom. And from this rose, you're going to send down a stem down into the floor beneath you, down through the foundation of the home you're sitting in, down through the top layers of soil, down through the nutrient-rich layers where the earthworms are aerating the dirt so future things may grow, down through the adobe layers of clay, down further still into the rocky layers, the unctuous layers of earth where the water template is, down further into the cavernous areas of the earth's core, where the stalactites form, down further still into the quiet, dark places of the earth where there's not a sound and where the heat starts to rise. And keep traveling further down with that stem. And as the stem goes down, 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 deeper into the earth, you feel the heat start to rise. And then plunge that stem into the core of the earth and anchor it. And on a nice big inhale, draw up that molten lava energy of the earth's core up through your stem, back up through the dark layers of the earth, back up through the cavernous layers where the stalactites form, back up through the water template, the rocky layers, the adobe layers, the nutrient-rich layers, the topsoil, the foundation of your home, the floor beneath you, up into the base of your spine. And as that molten lava energy of the Earth's core meets your root, envision that red rose glowing a vibrant red. And allow that red to grow brighter, deeper, richer with every inhalation as that earth energy comes up and just nurtures your root. Just take a few deep breaths. Really drink that energy in. Now I want you to take that golden orb of energy that you gathered that you're ready to release. And take a deep breath in. And on a nice long exhale, send that orb back down through your stem, down through all the layers of the earth, down, 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 until it enters the earth's core. And ask that this energy be composted, transformed, and return to you as renewable energy to put you in alignment with what's coming in for you now. And when you're ready, take a nice deep inhale and draw up that new energy all the way up through the layers of soil, all the way up through the foundation of your home, all the way up until it washes over your root. And just let that rose take in that transformed energy. And notice how the rose drinks in the nourishment of that energy. And as it does, it becomes even brighter, bolder, fuller. Notice any changes that you see occur in that red rose. And don't try to make any sense of the changes, just make a mental note so that you can sit with this later and understand what message it has for you. Now rise that energy, that earth energy up further, right to below your belly button, your sacral chakra. And as it meets this space, see an orange rose come into full bloom and glow like a vibrant sunset. And be nurtured by this energy. And as you fill this space within you, notice any feelings, any perceptions, any images that come forward for you. And again, not getting attached to any story about it, just making a mental note so that you can receive the information later when you have time to sort of sit with what you experienced, what came through for you. And then take another nice, big, deep breath and draw that earth energy up further, right to your solar plexus, your power center, the place where your ribs meet, right below your chest. And see a golden rose there, golden yellow, come into full, vibrant bloom. And as you continue to drink in this energy all the way up from your root to your sacral chakra, to your solar plexus, notice as each of these energy centers becomes more bright, more clear. Allow any energy that feels dingy, darkened, blocked, to be cleansed by this earth energy, washed away by this earth energy, and just return back down through that stem into the core of the earth for release. So each of these energy centers glows vibrant, clear, unobstructed, and you can feel this beautiful flow, this beautiful reciprocal flow of the energy traveling up through the earth's core, up to your solar plexus and back down again in this beautiful loop of energy, ever flowing, unobstructed. Now take in that gift of that transformed energy from all you released and drink it all the way up to your solar plexus, and imagine a sun forming there, right at your solar plexus, right beneath your chest, at the place where your ribs meet. And as you breathe into this sun, watch it expand and grow brighter and brighter and bigger. And with each exhalation, this sun grows larger, larger, covering your whole torso, covering your head, covering your hips, covering your legs, your feet, extending larger now to surround your entire body. So you are seated in the center of this large, vibrant, beaming sun. And feel the way you are held in this space. Feel the warmth of this space. Feel that warmth that is reflected in you as it is in the earth's core. And know that there is no separation and that you are held in this space of grounding, of clarity, rooted to the earth and connected to your power. And I'm just going to send some Reiki to all of you to really balance your energy so that your energy centers can feel stabilized. Take another nice deep breath. And as you do, raise your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Hold, 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 hold. And exhale and drop your shoulders and just let it all go. And again, raise your shoulders up to your ears. Hold and drop them and let all the energy go. One more time, nice deep breath in. Raise the shoulders up to your ears and let them release. Drop them down. Exhale. Go ahead and move your fingers a bit. Move your toes. Flutter your eyes open if you've had them closed. And just notice how you feel in your body now compared to how you felt before you arrived here. I can't hear you, Lizzie.
I feel good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Mm.
It's a really simple thing, and I'm not focusing on the upper channels because if you're already feeling, that expansiveness, if you're already kind of up, hanging out in your upper chakra channels, you don't need more of that energy,
No,
right? You need to pull it down. You need to bring it down. You need to bring it into your body and connect with your center, connect with your
that's
roots.
right.
And
That's right.
the more that you can bring that energy down through your body, and a great way to do that is just with the breath, you know, with the breath and using that breath in such a way where you allow the breath to create space for what you're feeling without getting into this story like, I dealt with this asshole and they started all this bullshit with me and it wasn't right because blah 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 blah. None of that matters, right? You know, um, because as long as you stay stuck in this story and you have regurgitating the experience, it actually keeps you really tethered to the energy. It keeps you attached to the energy. And it doesn't allow you to really have your own space. Okay. So this is something you can really do it in just a few minutes. It doesn't take long. I kind of led you all through a slower process with it just so you could get in touch with it and really lean into it. But when you get used to working with, grounding in that way, it's something that you can do in a matter of a few minutes.
Mhm.
You can start your day like that and calling in that sun energy, connecting you to your power source. It really helps you feel rooted in your body, and also that you have this like shield of, protective energy around you as well. that just lets you
Nice.
really inhabit your own space and not take on shit that's not yours to hold.
Hi. Salem was out of the room for that, and she is very displeased. I told her, so we're going live. I don't know what you're doing, but she was like, I want out. I was like, okay,
Yeah. So, I
okay.
mean, on an energetic level, that's a great way to do energy maintenance, right? But so are all the other little tools, smoke cleansing, making sure you're regularly smoke cleansing your environment, working with herbs that help to clear out the heavy vibes. I personally really love to work with bay leaf is my favorite. I love bay leaf because it clears out all the fuckery. All right. It clears
Mm-hmm.
out all the fuckery, but it also invites in this blessing abundance energy. So that's kind of a side of bay leaf that a lot of people don't consider. They sort of just think of its clearing influence, but it also really draws abundance. So you're not just clearing out the stagnancy and kind of the negative energy that's clinging to you, but you're also sort of raising the vibration and opening up the flow for that abundance energy to come in and nurture you and fill you up. So it's a nice, energy to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that was very pleasant. Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciated
welcome.
that. That was nice.
Yeah.
And I hope that I mean, I'm sure everybody I liked it. Like I said, that was grounding. Whenever I do grounding, like because I'm so heavily fire, like when I do anything that remotely grounds, like it's like, okay, good night.
Well, and speaking in terms of fire, I want to talk about that because from an Ayurvedic perspective, when we're looking at fire element, we're looking at pitta, okay? And everybody has all three doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, within their constitution, we all have these elements, but usually your prakruti, your birth constitution, you have most of the time two elements that kind of dominate, and then you have one element that sort of holds it down and is your stable dosha. But uh, that being said, anybody, whether, pitta is part of their prakruti or not, anybody can experience pitta imbalance, an imbalance of fire. And how does
Mhm.
that happen? It happens when you become aggravated, when you feel frustrated, when you're angry. Okay. And there's a lot of heated energy. A lot of people have been feeling frustrated, right? A lot of people have been popping off. A lot of people have been feeling agitated. And certainly, I know that with the recent full moon in Cancer,
Mhm.
there are a lot of people kind of rocking and rolling, right? And you speak of this fire. One of the best ways to move excess fire is to get physical. Move your body. It's the best thing you can do. Just get a sweat on. You can turn on some music, dance around, the living room, and just let your body move how it needs to move to expel the energy. Getting outside, being around greenery, getting
Mhm.
around trees is very grounding, right? But Pitta is very soothed by spending time in nature. So even going on a hike, can be very cleansing and soothing and grounding. A moonlit walk can be very cooling for fiery emotions. So again, it's like remembering that as a cue that it's like, okay, if I'm feeling out of my body, if I'm feeling
Mhm.
agitated, if I feel like I'm opening into expansion and it's feeling destabilized and I feel like I'm opening up too much too soon, I'm not ready for this. It's making me feel afraid. It's so important to just like come back to the body.
Mhm.
And one of the easiest, most portable ways to come back to the body is to breathe.
Mhm. Yep.
To breathe means to inspire. That's what inspiration, the archaic meaning of inspiration is to breathe in. So,
Mm,
when we think in terms of inspiration, we think of this higher, loftier, kind of like spiritually expansive energy, right? You can root it through the breath. You can take that higher energy and you can draw it down through your crown and bring it all the way down to your root and just
mm.
breathe. Even just taking 4 nice, full, deep cleansing breaths can really create a lot of stabilizing energy. So, humming the
No,
body
and
helps.
definitely breathing. I do want to talk a little bit about that because I didn't understand the concept of breath work until very recently. Um, and I never understood what it meant when they said breathe into your stomach. It's like, of course I'm breathing into my stomach, bro. I'm breathing. No. No. When you, and I think it's in correlation to shutting out your body and having that disconnect from your body because when you really start to breathe in like at the base of the spine, um and for that felt really nice because it had been a minute since I had done that. But for me it started in the rib cage. So if anybody is wanting to know like, okay, well, what does that mean? What does breath work mean? Your ribs. That was where I finally got like the oh aha moment, is feeling it in the ribs, and then maybe even wearing clothes that might move with your breath work as well, feeling it expand along with it was also very helpful. I know that clothes can be a sensory issue for people. So if clothes are a sensory issue for you, then definitely just try to focus on feeling your ribs, you know, expand as you're breathing out. But that's what helped me, and now that I'm, a little bit more well versed in that, it is easier for me to, breathe into the fingers and, take your breath down to your knees. Like I think I think when I first started doing yoga and they said, bring your breath all the way through your thighs to your knees, I was laying there thinking like, you can't
Yeah,
do that.
I
You
hear
can't
you.
do
And
that.
I think sometimes the way it gets described is sort of like intangible, right? It's kind of hard to
Mhm.
connect with. But what I always tell people about that is like when they say like breathe into your liver, for example, you're like, what the fuck? How do I breathe into my liver? But if you think of it more this way, where it's like a meditation,
Mhm.
and what you're really doing is you're taking your thought, okay, you're taking the mental, which is upper channel, which is
Mhm.
all like that
Mhm.
busy energy. You're taking your thought and you're simply placing your thought, your attention on where your liver is.
Mhm.
And then you imagine
Yep.
that you're breathing into it. That's all it takes. You don't have to even feel it at first. It's sort of like a method for the air builds a bridge. Like it's a
Mhm.
way for the mind to make a bridge with the body.
Mm.
And that's what mostly causes people to fall into like some people have issues with dissociation, right?
Mhm.
Maybe especially if you're somebody who is very much like on like an ascension path or you do a lot of psychic opening work or you are experiencing that you're opening as a channel. Maybe it's scary for you. I've encountered a lot of people that they get worried. They're like, I'm going crazy.
Mhm.
I don't know how to deal with what I'm experiencing and this
Right.
energy coming in.
Right.
It's really about like getting out of the story. That's
Mhm.
the key, is like merging the brain by simply placing the thought on a place in your physical body, dropping the story and just letting for example, it could be your belly button,
Yeah.
and just placing your full attention on your belly button and imagining you're breathing into your belly button. It's amazing because all these things happen, right? Like feelings start to emerge. Sometimes the story emerges, but then it's about, just let go of the story and start to describe what is the sensation behind the story. What does it feel like? That's why we build an image around it, a color, a sound. It could be even a taste. Like you can bring all your senses into it. And this is beneficial because another thing that helps to achieve is not just rooting you in your body and helping you connect physically, but it's also a way for you to build your intuition
Mhm.
and to learn to think in a new way where you can relate to what you're feeling. And the more that you can connect to what you're feeling, and greet it and hold space for it, even if it does feel very big, even if it does feel activating, and you can stay in that place of calm receptivity, the more that you find you're going to enhance your ability to tap into your intuitive knowing and to trust it, to
Yes.
not question it, to just be willing to be creative and go with the flow and like, okay, this doesn't really make sense. This is kind of out there, but this is what's coming through. And what's amazing is when you do that through just really connecting deeply with your body and letting your body speak to you. Because really, that's what intuition is. There's a reason why people say things like, I felt it in my gut. Yeah, because it's a very visceral, physical feeling. You're taking something intangible and esoteric and you're rooting it in something very mundane and physical. I felt it in my gut. It was my gut instinct, you know? So the more that you can like bring that energy down and not get into a story and not, create any elaboration around it, but just allow whatever perceptions, whatever sensations want to come through, it's also going to allow you to not become overwhelmed when you do feel yourself moving into expansion. If you are opening up as a medium, if you are opening up as a channel, it's a way for you to disconnect from the energy of the mind that has a story about it that produces fear, that creates resistance. And instead, you can just let the perceptions come in. You can let the images come in. You can breathe into it. You can root it. You can ground it. And it allows you to really strengthen your intuitive abilities, but in a way that allows you to stay very stabilized in your body
Yes.
and root the information.
No, especially if you're at the point at the portion where you feel like you're going crazy. Um, I really think that that's something anybody that has been on this path will share with you, that there are moments of, where you're really sitting there and questioning, like, should I maybe like get some help?
It's true. It's
um,
true.
but I always I and I know this sounds so cliche, but they always say that the people that are the craziest don't know they're crazy and don't ever question, and the fact that we even question the reality just makes it to where it's like, okay, sure. Um, but it is really important to even have that thought process too, because we've shared before how, ego gets in the way a lot of the work that you want to do, and how you want to get things done, and making sure that, okay, this is actually like this is something I wanted, this is something that's happening, versus okay, so I'm making it happen because my ego wants it to happen.
Right.
um so yeah, so it's definitely, I definitely always feel like it's very healthy, like, to question, to have the moment of, okay, I'm going insane.
I know that when I've gone through periods like that where I was really opening, I think, something was said to me a long time ago when I was working with one of my first teachers. And
Mhm.
I would just like to pass it on because I think it was one of the most helpful things anybody ever told me when it comes to moving into like psychic expansion that really helped me just not get so in attached to having to like create a story around it, a definition of what was happening to me, and just sort of greet it with openness, was they told me, you know what, Shannon, uh, there are so many things, innumerable things in existence that you have yet to experience and encounter. And some things are going to start happening to you as you open up to these higher levels of consciousness that are going to be very unfamiliar, might feel frightening to you because humans have a hard time with the unknown. Okay, we kind of base our safety, our security around having an understanding of what's happening. We need to define it, we need to label it, we need to categorize it. And she said, the best thing you can do when you are opening up and you're experiencing unfamiliar energy coming in your body and you're having these sensations flood you that you've never experienced before, one of the best things you can do to calm yourself down and just soften, not contract into the energy, but just to be able to open up to it, is just to tell yourself, it's just another thing. It's just another thing that I have never experienced before. And because I've never experienced it, I don't need to fear it. And then you can come into your body and like, am I in any danger right now? Is anything harming me? I'm just experiencing something I've never experienced before. And as I did that, I kind of just used it as a cue, anytime I felt that way, anytime I went through a period of time where when I was really opening up my psychic centers, where I felt like every time I had a thought, like I'd get a vision of something or I'd see something, all of a sudden it was like transposed onto my reality, like instantly. Like my manifestation was just like boom, boom, boom. And that scared the shit out of me because it was happening so fast. And I really understood, it's like, wow, we really are the architects of our reality. And so there is responsibility. The thoughts we think, they carry the weight of responsibility. What we focus on really can manifest. And the more you kind of clear your energy out, the more that you open up into that expansion, the more it'll happen in real time, where it doesn't take time for your manifestations to happen. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And then it's sort of like, are these things happening to me? Or am I architecting these things? Am I the source of these things? Or am I receiving these perceptions? And if you get too much into that, like trying to explain it, then it really can start to destabilize yourself. But if you can just go, okay, I've never experienced this before. This is just another thing. And you do something to like root yourself in your body and kind of like, because that's the way that you can come back in a place of like, all right, I do have the ability. I may not be able to control the energy that comes in, but I do have the ability to establish stability and boundaries with my physical body. And so that can give you a feeling of being able to have some stability as you're opening to that, right?
Good. I like it. I like it. I like that. Because that's 100%. I think that a good majority of the experiences that we have, well, that's new,
Yeah. Yeah. And right. The humor and just kind of like greeting it with that sort of, sort of that spirit instead of that like panic response, just like,
Mhm.
okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. No, I don't I don't know what it is. I'm not entertaining it though, but I'm getting the phantom knocks. Phantom knocks at the door, taps on the windows, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I'm not letting you in. Like right. I'm just gonna just gonna be like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna open these windows, these little tap tap taps on the window at 6 in the morning when it's just me and Salem's looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm like, we're not letting that fucking thing in. Like whatever it is, because I remember I said, well, that's new. Like, because I was having my lemon water and it was like tap, tap, tap. And I was like, I looked at Salem? I was like, that's new. And she was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, we're still not letting you in. Sure, you were knocking on the door earlier a few months ago, and now you've moved to the windows. And I'm like, okay, sure, still
I
not letting you in.
mean, and that's a good point too, because it's like, you do not have to take in the energy if you do not want to. You have to have an agreement with the energy to allow it in, you know? And that's why it's nice to kind of like learn just a very simple way that you can like clear your energy out, ground your energy, shield yourself, so that if you do feel scared or you do feel, like you're not strong in that, where you feel like you're not strong in your boundaries, it's a way that you can like sort of come into your body and feel some mastery around that. Like, okay,
Hmm.
I can create this container around myself. I can,
Yes.
root this energy. I don't have to let this in if I'm not ready for it. Um, and I think that the more that you can do that, the more that you can just really, connect with that feeling of stability supporting you, then the more you're able to move through it. And on that level, when I was a kid, I was raised in a very, Christian religion. And I always had these, you know, intuitive hits. I always felt connected to other energies.
Hmm.
And there was a story that was attached to it, right? Like I was told that, to be a medium is, evil. This is a
Hmm.
bad thing. Like bad things are going to happen to you. And I felt a lot of fear. And so I think that that's another place that, there needs to be some space held around too, is just understanding that, you're also doing a lot of deprogramming uh,
Hmm.
and how you've been
Hmm.
conditioned and understanding that nobody really knows the big T truth. Okay. So you don't need to be afraid that something evil is going to happen to you just because somebody else encountered, expansive energy coming in and they got freaked out and they didn't know
Hmm.
how to handle it. So they created some bullshit story about it that means that you're evil because you're stepping into your gifts. Doesn't mean you need to take that on. And what I really suggest for that, for people that, let's say you do have a really like strong Christian background and you
Hmm.
realize that you're starting to open up as a medium,
Hmm.
or you're starting to step into your psychic gifts and maybe it's bringing up a lot of that. Ooh, I'm getting sentience right now. It's bringing up I think there's people that are needing to hear this, and it's bringing up a lot of like this, old programming that makes you feel afraid, that makes you go
Hmm.
into that contractive space. I highly recommend that you start by making that space by connecting with the tradition that you were raised in. And what I mean by that is if you were raised in a Christian religion and this is how you were programmed, call on some angel energy.
Hmm. Go with
Call
what you
on the
know.
angels to call on Archangel Michael
Hmm.
to surround you with his shield, to fill you with his indigo light, to stand and watch over you, because then you're going to be working with the tradition that you were like indoctrinated in,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
it's going to we have to understand that a lot of these things are they're archetypes. So they're archetype energies, but we've been programmed in such a way that this is a way that you can help yourself feel safe. And it's a way you can start to explore by work with what you got kind of programmed by, but in a
Yeah.
way that's actually supporting you and stepping into
Hmm.
opening into this expansion. And I know for me, that was super helpful for me. Even though I didn't feel a connection with Christianity, there was
Hmm.
still that like
Yes.
that conditioning, and
Yep.
it took a while for me to get beyond it. But I
Hmm.
mean, I still love the angels because of that. I still work with angels because of that, because I was raised with that since I
Hmm.
was a really little girl. And so through connecting with that energy, it allowed me to like really connect with the roots of my spiritual tradition, even though it
Hmm.
was put on me and it's
Right.
not what I chose. I was
Hmm.
able to work with that. And in within that, I was able to take back, that power that had been distorted.
Hmm.
And I was able to take back this sort of like feeling of like, this is being done to me and I'm helpless and now bad things are going to happen to me. And instead, I was able to say, no, I have this angelic energy that's holding
Hmm.
me and I'm safe and I'm surrounded by this and they're going to support me in opening up to this. And it really
Hmm.
was like such a big shift for me in that.
No, 100%. And it's something that I've shared, on my page, and Matt and I have talked about when we go live on Friday nights, but the energies that would be associated with Christianity, Christ, Mother Mary, the angels, whenever they get used within a different capacity, but still within the capacity that they should be utilized in, they get so excited. Like, if I could express to people how excited Jesus gets when, like, these little weird neo Christian pagans like come and are like, "Oh, he's like, yes, use me this way, please, instead of the other ways, Same with Mary, she's very much a goddess archetype, very much the mother archetype. And, I fully, even now, sometimes I still connect with her energy because the energy that's associated with her specific archetype is very different than the energy that's associated with Isis, who is also the queen of heaven.
Yes, yes, yes,
So, the so it really I completely agree with that and do encourage that because it is a lot easier to work within the parameters that you're comfortable with. And then you can move on to other things when you feel comfortable. Um, right before I left my coven, one of the new students, her god and goddess were Jesus and Mary. She did this very beautiful, you know, traditional American Wiccan ritual, and she called in Christ and she called in Mary, and uh, that was new, So, but it was such a
there's no rules.
beautiful,
There's no
it
rules.
really was. It was a beautiful
Mhm.
ritual. And, the softness that was there was, because they're very soft energies. For me, that's always been, there's a softness, almost like a buoyant pink. But that's the story I tell myself with those energies because that's the story that makes me comfortable, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So, and that's also ties into what you were saying earlier is the story that's associated with that. For me, the energies of Christ and Mary are very soft, very cozy, very comfortable, very loving. It's almost like a soft pastel, like from like those 80s movies when like it would be like the dreamy, almost flashback. Like that's how I associate the energy, you know? Anthony. Anthony's being a clown. Not
yeah. Hey man, whatever it takes,
it's sometimes when you need to ground yourself, yes, we need the
whatever
pink
it takes.
bubbles and that white light, you
I
know?
think I think it really is a big key when you feel fear around opening it to expansion is returning to your roots.
Mhm.
What are your roots of spiritual tradition. And let's say I wasn't raised in any kind of religion. I wasn't raised with any kind of spirituality. Like that wasn't a focus on my upbringing. Well,
Yeah.
what did make you feel safe
Hmm.
when you were younger? And bring that in, whatever gave you a feeling of being held, of feeling safe, of being comforted, bring that in, um, and I think it is so important to, create these spaces as well where you also can assimilate your downloads and the way you're opening up. It's very important to create spaces where you can renew yourself, where there's this thing that happens. I know I experience it. I know I've talked to a lot of other people that have experienced it. And this is kind of another thing I want to say. When you open up and when you're starting to really get blasted open and your intuition is increasing, you're having visions, whatever's coming through for you, you're encountering new energy. Be very mindful about who you share that with. Be very mindful about who you turn to for support, because there are people that really can sabotage the process because they'll tell you you're crazy, they'll make fun of you, they won't be supportive, and then you can really block, your opening process because people have put their projections onto
Yep.
you. So it's very important that you build community with people who can receive this too, and maybe that means only turning to one person. Maybe that means you tune in, and let me and Lizzie hold space for you, because we don't think anything's weird. Like
I really don't.
I've
I
had all
really
kinds of
don't.
things happen, and
And I'm glad you're bringing that up because that was my experience when I first, as I've shared on my other page, if you're on YouTube or if you're just tuning in for the first time, prior to me converting to neo-paganism 16 years ago now, I was actually a reborn again non-denominational Christian.
mm,
Very, very deeply involved within my church. I went to church 4 times a week, 4 times a week, and I was very devout. And then I discovered my true path. And the reaction that I received from those immediately around me was very much uh, so you're going to play at being a witch now, huh? Christianity
mm,
didn't work out for you, so now you're just going to, what, play? You know, friends and family. It wasn't just the family that gave me the backlash. It was the friends too. Two of my very best friends at the time were like, "Dude, dude, literally 2 months ago, you were a Christian and you were going to church 4 days a week, and what now? You're going to take these witchy classes and be a witch?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening." Um, you know, granted, now here, 16 years later, it's a very different conversation. Um, and what I do is taken seriously by those within my family. Um, but I also surround myself, hi, with folks that understand my journey, and I don't necessarily talk about that with my other friends and family that don't necessarily understand that portion of my life.
yeah,
They understand my faith. We speak around faith and faith centered things. But, like my dad came over and he was helping me install some shelves and helping me move into my new room. And he was like, I don't know if I should touch, like, I had some of my knickknacks, my non magical knickknacks. He was like, I don't think I should touch any of this. Is it your, you know, stuff? And I was like, no. I was like, Dad, all of my stuff is already set up and nowhere near where you'd be able to get your hands on it.
mm,
And
mhm,
he was like, Oh, okay. And I was like, I'm responsible with my stuff. I said, if I don't want you to touch my stuff, I don't leave it out. And that's another thing I've also talked about. Be responsible with your own shit. You know, if you live in a house with people that don't necessarily understand what you do and you want sacred spaces, make sacred spaces where you know that it won't impact the greater part of your your dwelling situation, especially if you're living with people that just maybe they're cool with it, but they don't necessarily want to see it out. And so just be mindful and don't be mad. I've had so many people be like, "Oh my God, my roommate." And I'm like, "Well, where was your shit? Like, was it just out? Like, why was it not in its why was it not in its little sacred space where it's very clear that this is something that's being used for non-mundane purposes?" You know, I even have cooking utensils because I do kitchen stuff. I have them separate. I keep them in my closet because I don't want my roommates touching them because then I don't want them to cleanse the energy.
And it,
So,
and it's also, it's interesting to bring up that point too, and that's a really good point to bring up because it's the other side of boundaries, right? Like
mhm,
we talk a lot about our boundaries, but a part of that also is respecting the boundaries of others.
mhm,
That's very important. And like I know that like there's been times when when I lost my place with this whole thing that happened with this pandemic situation. And I'm over here in Detroit, but all my stuff was back in California, and I had wonderful, wonderful sister Jen Ray, like just offered, I'll go move your stuff for you. The stuff that you're gonna keep. I let most of my stuff go, but I wanted my altar items. There was like a couple things like, please get my guitar,
right,
for my massage table. And what a great sister! Like she so showed up for me, and who moves your shit for you? Okay,
right.
she moved my shit for me. She sold my car for me. Really showed up for me. But it's funny because she brought this stuff over to my parents' house to store it. I'm like, all this ritual, all my ritual tools. And my dad was like, what the fuck is all this monkey paw bullshit? It's just like, because to
Right.
him, it really like kind of freaked him out. Like, do you
Uh-huh.
need to be worried about this? And I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't need to worry about any of this. Like, this is not any negative energy, and I'm sorry that it has like
Right. This is
just
the
stored at
this
your
is
house, but
stuff.
you don't need
I
to
don't
worry about
want
it.
to. Yeah.
And it's like, I was raised in the Jehovah's Witness religion,
Oh, gee whiz.
okay,
Yeah,
until
that's
the age of 12, where
wow.
it's ironic because that particular religion gives you such an education in paganism, such a
Right?
solid it's funny to me because I'm like, well, it really was like the borning of my my witch path, because I knew from a very young age, no, it's not Halloween, it's Samhain, and it's about honoring the ancestors. Like I knew all this stuff. No, it's not Easter. It's a fertility rite. Like I knew these things as a kid. So to me, it's kind of funny. But at the same time, that whole religion is very much focused on you touch tarot cards, you're going to get possessed. You bring any kind of occult items into your house and you're going to get demonized, and so it's like everything was just like so much intense fear. Thank goodness, my parents at the age of 12, they both were like, okay, we've had enough of this shit, and they stopped going. None of my immediate family is part of that.
Oh,
But
good.
at the same time, my extended family, okay, there's still a lot of extended family that are part of that religion. And a big part of that religion is that, well, if you're not part of that, then you're a worldly person and you're cut off, like
Mhm.
you're sequestered. So that's been a lot for me to kind of like, I had to really stand in my truth to come forward and be like, hi, this is who I am. Since I was a little girl, I've been looking for fairies and gnomes, and I never felt connected to that. And I always was in trouble in Bible study because I argued with them all the time. Even at 7 years old, I was in there saying God is too vain. He told Abraham to sacrifice his only son after he begged for him to give him a child because that's all he wanted, like so bad. How messed up is that? That's an ego trip. And I got in a lot of trouble. I was always in a lot of trouble. Okay. So it's something that never resonated with me, but it really sent this strong message to me of like, I'm bad. Like there's something that's
Mm.
inherently wrong with me because I keep having these dreams and messages are coming in my dreams and I keep getting visitors in the middle of the night and I'm helping them to figure out how to cross over to the other side. And this is just part of my life. So what, am I evil? Am I demonized? And it terrified me as a child. It really did. And so for me, it was a huge deprogramming. And then there was this really like reclaiming of like, no, this is who I am. Like, this has always been my truth since I was a really little girl. This is who I am. I am a natural witch. I was born this way. I came into this life on this path. And it took a lot. So there's that piece too, that as you're opening to these gifts,
Mhm.
ease in, make sure you have your spiritual community, the people that support you, the people that understand you,
Yes.
because there is kind of a coming out of the broom closet too,
Mhm.
right? There is this
Mhm.
like kind of coming out around it where at some point, and it's all on your timing and when it feels right for you, but hopefully at some point, so you really can step into your gifts,
Yep.
you do have the courage and the strength within yourself to be like, you know what? I accept who I am and I embrace who I am, and nobody can tell me where my heart is, who I am in my heart. And it's okay for me to stand up and stand in the truth of that. And
Mhm.
yeah, it is a fire walk. There are
Yes.
people that will turn their back on you. There are.
Oh,
And I have
100%.
experienced that. So
Mhm.
there's like so many layers of it, right? Because there's just your basic self-care that you have to do, but then there's these emotional components and how other people are going to receive your truth and how they're going to perceive you. And, it's even sort of like, just opening it up to what I'm doing now. I started, reading professionally, doing tarot when I was 18 years old. I'm 49 now. So I've been doing this, for a good, 30, what, 31 years or whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, but I was always kind of quiet about it, but now I'm
Mhm.
on YouTube and I'm reading, I'm doing this stuff and I'm putting myself out there. And I noticed there's some people that are like, what is this, But I do have my community, right? I do have my people
Yep.
that understand, and that really is such an important point. And so that's why I also felt it was like so important for us to connect around this, just because, like I said, I've really been connected to a lot of people recently who they're really just starting to open up on their path, and they really have some amazing gifts coming forward. And we need to, as readers, as psychics, as
Mhm.
energy workers, however you're opening up to these gifts, it's so important that we show up for each other and that we also offer that support and that sense of community to people that are just starting to open up to
Mhm.
this so that they can be empowered and stepping into it and know that, like, hey, you're not alone. Like,
Yep.
we've all gone through this. And so I would say to those who are kind of seasoned with this and you've been doing this work for a long time, like, pay it forward. Remember like when it was really hard for you, when it scared you, when you felt uncertain, and, extend yourself to the young ones coming up or those that are young in the process and like just opening up to it, and, kind of take them under your wing, and give them that support and give them that kind listening ear and the encouragement, because we really do need more people to open up to that ascension process. We really do. It's so important because it's what's going to bring us all into that unifying energy, right?
Mhm. And to anybody that's, say you're on Facebook watching this, every single person that has commented on this video via Facebook is a reader light worker, shadow worker, or even maybe a necromancer. So utilize. We have people that like we have the whole spectrum right here in my comment section. I have somebody that works with the angels and does um, key access. So take your pick. Go ahead. Reach out to any, and I can confidently
Wow.
say that if you can reach out to myself, you can reach out to Shannon, or you can reach out to
Yeah.
anybody that has commented on this video, and they will be more than happy to guide you because we have all been there. And every single one of those people have been practicing for quite a few years. So,
Or
and
even if you don't want guidance, even just to listen, even just to
yeah,
hold space, even just for a non-judgmental,
hmm,
person to sit and hold space for you
yep,
and receive and let you be witnessed in what's coming forward to you.
yes,
It's so important. And yeah, I mean, that's a big intention with all of this. And that's also been a big intention, I know for you too, with like coming to YouTube is like, no, when we're not about like, we don't want division. It's not about,
no,
picking on other readers or, judging other people's gifts or, any of that ego bullshit, right? It's really about let's support each other in this and
mhm,
let's come together in this and like form a real community of support so that everybody can step into what they have to offer.
mhm,
And that's the thing. The reality is everybody has these gifts.
mhm,
Everybody does. Even those who think that they don't have these gifts, you do. It's just that there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of societal programming about what's acceptable, what's not, what's real, what's not, what's true, what's not. Um,
Well,
and
and I
so,
also think that they think in parameters that, we are such a pop culture driven society that people are like, oh, my spirits wouldn't talk to me through movies and TV shows. The fuck they will. The fuck they will.
mine
They will
talks
be
to when
talking
I
to you,
make when I make
SpongeBob. So
fucking
don't.
pancakes.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
make pancakes and get a whole reading on the energy coming in by what I
Like,
see in a pancake. It happens in the most mundane
hmm,
scenarios. I always say like 7-Eleven is like my spiritual depot. It's like weird. There's so much guidance that comes through to me every time I step in a 7-Eleven. And that's the thing, there's no separation.
no.
It's funny because people kind of like you always hear people say, "Oh, it's all one," and yet they forget that the minute that they're having something
Hmm,
come up for them that's unfamiliar, they haven't ever experienced before. It's like we're all connected to this energy. It's all one energy. So, it's just that understanding that maybe you're just ready to open up to it. So
hmm,
yeah, I agree with that. Like anybody that, feels like they want the guidance or they just want somebody to listen or even maybe they're not ready to talk and they just want to kind of, connect and sort of expose themselves to, people who are doing this kind of work and opening up to this stuff. You're welcome to reach out to me. You're welcome to send me a friend request on Facebook or whatever, and
yeah,
just reach out and let's all support each other in that and stepping into, opening up and really moving forward with our gifts.
I dig it. And I agree. And I'm here too. So let me know. Oh, well, this has been a really great conversation,
Yeah.
milady. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's nice. It's very nice. Well, I don't have anything else to contribute. I feel, and I've also felt studying for a test is really hard.
Yeah. I hear you.
So, but again, it really is, you know, 'cause somehow I ended up back on the witch side of TikTok, and I really didn't want to be on there because I don't like that side of TikTok because it is, the wars and the, um, you know, and I'm so not about that. Like, I don't care. For me, it's not about the money, and I have stressed this with people, and I know that for other people it's about the money, but for me it's not about the money. So, and I've always told people, like, if money is a factor for holding you back from like contacting me or getting a reading, please don't, because this is not my day job and I am very negotiable. Like, you know, part of it could be my community service because I do
Mhm.
believe in giving back to the community, and giving back to the community is giving of my gifts. So, don't I don't there's room enough for everybody because each reader has a completely, even though it's the same message, the delivery is different and
Yep.
the message may be different too. You know, I know that a lot of the readers, we're all getting a lot of collective, it's all kind of feel like it's all the same shit right now. And I'm like, okay, cool, great, grand, wonderful. Can we roll in some new shit here? Because I'm kind of getting tired of the messages, and
But how cool is that at the same time? It's like it shows that connectivity, right? Because I've
mhm,
noticed that too, just like watching other readers. I'm like, wow, it's really wild how everybody is like tapping into those same
mhm.
streams,
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's really just kind of cool. It's kind of
Yes.
neat.
Yes.
But
Um,
yeah, I'm ready for some fresh energy for sure, for sure.
man. I'm like, okay, you know, and I know Mercury's in retrograde, and I never say that I'm faring well because I know that it can change on a dime. However, I have been pleasantly surprised. There we go. Um, that I haven't had many technological issues, so it's nice. But there's also a lot of other planets in retrograde right now too. And so I'm like,
Had
okay.
some emotional moments, but you know what? It's
Mhm.
okay because I don't consider that faring bad if I feel something come up that needs to be emotionally processed.
Yes.
I've learned how to not resist when stuff needs to be cleared out or, when I need to hold space to have extra rest and drop in. And, that's kind of like my last thing I would like to say is just that, um, I know that right before I'm about to get a big download, when I'm about to channel something, I get what I call the slows, you know? And I feel
Mm.
like it feels like I'm kind of moving through molasses. I
Oh.
start to feel my energy dip. I get tired. Things become more kind of ephemeral. It's
Mhm.
like the things
Mhm.
aren't so tangible, and I know that that means like, and you'll spot as you just really have some kind of daily practice, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. It's something about giving yourself some self-care and clearing out your energy and just staying connected to your experience, staying connected to your body, what you feel, and create whatever feels right for you. That may mean you want to give yourself space every day to take a little nap, maybe have a nice cup of herbal tea, give yourself an abhyanga, give yourself a self massage, put a nice cream on your skin, whatever it is,
Mhm.
but give yourself that space so you can really get in tune with your rhythms and what's going on with your energy and what's coming in, and start to get in tune with when are you about to go through an up level. You'll start to
Mhm.
spot the signs, and I know for me, I get the slows. I feel that energy dip, and I feel I move into that more kind of like sort of dream-like kind of thinking.
Mhm.
I don't feel so quite connected to the day to day. So
Yep.
when I do that, I know automatically it's like, okay, I can get really caught up in this energy. If I want, I could go so far out in the ether, that I'm just going to like wander off into the alfalfa. So it's really important for me at that time to be aware of my energy and what's happening in my energy that gives me a cue of when I do need to like bump up my self-care so
Yep.
I can support what wants to come through.
Yep.
And that may mean I need to get extra sleep, you know? That may mean that I need to have easy, meals to prepare, that are nurturing, making sure that I'm getting my food, that making sure that I'm taking time to kind of like get grounded, get centered, maybe upping my salt soaks, in the
Yeah.
tub to just keep my energy clear, and nurture myself at the same time, And sometimes baths are such good medicine, right? Even that can make us feel safe because that warmth and that water, like it reminds us of being back in that womb space when we were so
Mhm.
held and protected. And so it's
Mhm.
also a conductor, okay? So you can like really release your energy into the water, like just visualize all that excess energy just getting absorbed by the water, pull that drain and, allow it to flow down the drain. Like I make sure to like pay attention to what's going on with my energy. And in order to
Mhm.
understand where your energy is at when you are about to have the big download moment, just to reinforce yourself by having simple self-care practices so you don't go too far out there, because I see it happen. I do see it happen. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people don't have a practice like that. You got to root it to the physical and they go
Yes.
too far out into their gifts. And it's great to have gifts, but you're also in a physical body and you're living this life and you need to be
Right?
able to stay,
I
you
don't.
need to be able to stay tethered or else you can really run into some problems.
Oh
So
god. It's devastating. It's devastating when that happens. Um,
I've
and
had
it's
it
also
happen
very
before.
scary.
I've had it happen before when I was first starting out. I had issues, and it took some time to like learn how to work with it. And,
Mhm.
again, that's why that community is so important because people who've already kind of been through their hazing, you can kind of turn to them. Yes,
Saturn does have good wisdom for
absolutely.
this.
Absolutely. And we just moved into Aquarius, right?
I believe so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about some expansive energy with Aquarius. So, it's good.
With the Mercury in retrograde, it's like, "Expand, pull back."
Yeah.
Oh,
So
alright, my broad, well, I think we're good. I mean, I'm good, I'm good, and I
I'm
know
good
you still need
too.
to
I'm
eat,
good too.
you
It was
know?
good to drop in, and
Yes, yes.
I hope
Thank you
people found
for
some
everybody.
things to work with.
I hope so, I hope so, and, yes, I will start to be more active on both pages. I had to, like I said, I had to take a little hiatus and concentrate on the muggle world as it will in my muggle world to keep me going and doing. And now that I'm shaking that off and getting back into it, I will be delivering more messages and starting our next
Spirits,
adventure.
spirituality doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't root it in the marketplace. So, you need to take care of business. That's
Yep.
just the way it
Yep.
is.
So, and obviously, you can find me here on this YouTube channel. I do have a Facebook channel as well. Broad, where can they find you?
You can find me on Broad Coven here on YouTube. You can also find me at Broad Coven CMB on Facebook or at Broad Coven on Instagram. And I will go later and I'll put the link to my YouTube on this
Please.
feed because
Yes.
I'm at the stage where I'm not up to enough followers yet to have a personalized YouTube. So it's sort of like you're trying to decipher, a code to find me. So I'll go ahead and add that
Right.
in. But yeah, I'd love to see you all there. I'd love to connect with people. And just want to say thank you to everybody who
Well,
has
thank you.
supported the show since we started.
Yes,
And
it's been a year. It's been
yeah,
a
it's really
year.
cool. I'm
It
really,
has.
I'm
It's
really
been a
happy
whole
with the way
year
it's
since
grown.
we started this, and it's really it's been great. It's been a great year. Thanks for a great year, Broad.
Yeah, thank you, Strega Lizzie. I really just enjoy creating with you and connecting with you, and I
Same.
love, I love our connection and the way that There's no bullshit. There's no competition. There's none of that, any of that shizer. Like we're totally supporting each other and what we're building.
Oh yeah,
And
'cause you just
I
you
appreciate you.
you have things that I can't give and vice versa.
Likewise,
So,
likewise.
it's a beautiful thing and I appreciate our collaboration and thank you kindly.
Yeah. And all of you have a beautiful night. And thank
Yes,
you
have a
so much for
beautiful
tuning
weekend.
in.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to all of you who will view later who weren't able
Yes,
to make the live.
yes,
Thank
yes.
you so much for showing your support. We appreciate you.
We do. We do. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. You gotta say that these days.
And hit the bell.
Yeah, hit that bell. Get those notifications, witches. Oh, well, I love you, my lady.
Love
And
you
you have a good
too.
night and a good weekend, and
I
we'll see y'all
will.
next time.
Bye.
Bye. Do you want to end? Yes, I do.